Alright, so welcome back to the second installment series of Fly Me to the Moon. We're going to be looking at the second half of this song and breaking it down and deconstructing it. If you haven't seen the first half of this, check the link in the description so that you're not confused or you're behind, because you want to make sure that you watch the first part before we go into the second part here. So the last part we were leaving off right on this kind of turnaround here where we're going to have B minor 7 to E7. And that is all going to basically circle all over again. So like we did in the past video, this is just going to recycle over and over again. So pretty much everything is going to be the same up to this point. Now here's where it's going to be different. So starting in other words, please be true, we're going to have the first ending here. And it's going to be different because beforehand we were not going to this E minor 7 flat 5 chord. So we have to think about how we can get a G in the melody line here. So we're going to do that by doing this E minor 7 flat 5 chord all the way up here on the 7th fret. And that's going to lend myself to having the G in the melody line here. Now here's a cool thing too. We need to go to this next shape, which is going to be an A7 with a flat 9. So here's the thing about this. We want to keep this in the melody line here. So instead of even worrying about the flat 9, which would be here, I'm just going to opt to play a regular old A7. Which that's okay to do, because you have to, as the guitar, because there's only so many notes that we can play in a certain voicing in order to get the notes to work correctly. Sometimes we have to either take away or add notes, and that's okay. As long as the foundation of the chord is there and it's an A7 of some sort, a dominant chord as it's suggested, then that's okay. So we're up here, and then we're going to do this. So we have this G sharp note. It's going to lead us into the D minor 7 again. As we've been doing up to this point up so far, so that we get this A note. Going to have this lower octave C. So what we could do here is we could just play this version of a D minor 7 chord, or we can just keep in position where we're already at. So we would have this. And then we're going to have D minor 7 again. And then now we're going to have G7 where we have D in the melody line here. So D is the 5th of G7. So how can we think about doing this? Well, I'm going to do it like this. This is just our regular standard bar chord G7, because this is going to have our melody note in there. And then we can do it where we have a flat 9, still going to have that melody note there, and then we're going to go to a C6, which we're going to want to do this a couple different ways. We can play it this way, which is like an A minor 7 chord, or an A minor chord, and we just put our pinky in the root, which is really, really cool. So now we have up to that point. And then we're going to go. Then we're going to have that turn around again. And now we're going to cycle all the way to the top again and play the thing entirely through, the same thing entirely through, and then we're going to take the second ending. So now all the way up to that point. Take that what we did earlier with the and all the way through again. You can spice up the rhythm a little bit. Now, to end the kind of song and to kind of break through to the ending part here, it's going to be the same exact thing again, where we're going to do, in other words. So we're going to do this all based around D minor 7 again. So C, D, A, and then A, G9. So we keep that A melody note there, or you can play it like this, however you want to do it. So now we have to do it where we have the D. So I could either keep it down here, because I have a D here, or I can play this version up here. So I have this high D octave. Well, because I'm already down in this position, I'm just going to stay here. So anyway, to kind of get back into this, so we're going to have, in other words, so C, D, and then G7, or G9, so we keep that A in the melody note there. And then we need to go to a D with the melody note, so I'm just going to opt for regular G7. And I'm going to go to a C6, so I can get that 6th note in there. Or I could play it this way too if I wanted. So if I wanted to get a higher C voicing, it's another way to play it. And then I'm going to do this B flat 6 to B6 walk up, which is a really, really cool ending. So all nice together up into that point. From Please Be True, we'd have this. Then we have, if I'm taking the second ending, and that would end it all the way up there. So again, the most important thing is really understanding all of your chords and kind of where they are lying all over the neck. And it's not just enough to know a chord voicing. It's really important to start understanding all of the notes that are belonging in each chord, because then you can manipulate the chord tone. So it's not enough just to think about the chord and its positions. You need to kind of think about every single possible way that you can play it. So for example, like A minor 7 is comprised of the notes A, C, E, and G. That's a root, a flatted third, a fifth, and a flat 7th. So there's like tons of different ways to play this. I could play it down here. I could play it like this. I could play it like this, where I have the 7th in the bass, and I have A, or a G, A, and then I can play the E here, and then like this. It's another way to play it. I could play it here like I was doing in the intro. I could play it like this, which is kind of a stacked voicing. I could play it like this way. Like, there are so many different variations on how to play that. You could play it like this, where you have different kind of notes in the register, right? And so there's all these different interpretations of how to play that. But every single way that you do play that lends itself to a different voice. So let's just reorganize these in a way that is inverted. So we did this in root position here. Let's do it where we have the C in the bass, right? So here's a C here. Here's my root, and I'm going to opt to have the 7th here. And I can play it like this. This is a bit of a nasty stretch, but this is a version of an A minor 7 in first inversion. I have my flatted third, I have my flatted 7th, I have my root, and I have my 5th. It's a bit of a stretch. And sometimes these shapes are not always practical, but it's good to know this because you can think about all the notes that are in that given chord, and you can see the neck is far more expansive. Now let's add it where we have the 5th in the bass. So here's my E. Well, I need to find a way to play this. So here, let's try it this way. So I can play it like that. So I have 5th, flatted 7th, minor 3rd, and then I could do the root up here, or I have the root here, or I could do, let's see, which is a really, really cool voicing of it. So I have 5th, root, 3rd, and then 7th. So coming off of this shape, we had here to here. Now we can also do this where we put the 7th in the bass. So here's a G, here's a minor 3rd, here's the root, or the 5th, excuse me, and now here's the root. So here's another way to play A minor 7. So we just talked about playing this in multiple different inversions in just different areas of the neck. You can even do these in low registers, obviously. So check out this. Here's an A, here's a minor 3rd. That's a cool voicing. That's another way to finger it. If you wanted to take that all the way up here, you could do it. It'd be a bit of a stretch. having an access to understanding all of these notes, and you have to be able to apply this to every single chord shape that you're over. So if it's in the instance of like that E7 chord with the flat 9, recognizing how to play that in multiple different regions, so like E7 here, E7 here, you know, recognizing how you can put these in every single possible inversion that you can think of, and you know, kind of just really exploring with that. And I know sometimes it can be really kind of annoying because there's so many different possibilities, but that's good. You're testing yourself. And obviously don't neglect the obvious. There are so many different chord voicings that are automatically kind of work well to itself. So like if you have E7 this way and you need an E in the bass in the melody line, it works out really well. So again, the most important thing is to understand all the notes that collectively belong in every single chord, and then start to apply them to the piece of music that you're working on, and manipulating those notes around it so that you can get a melody line, so that way that you can play through an entire piece of music and it be a solo arrangement. Alright guys, that was the video. I hope you really liked it. Let me know what other songs you may be interested in me doing for solo arranging. I think solo arranging is like one of the most rewarding and most fun experiences about the guitar, and playing the guitar as if it's kind of like a piano where you're playing your chords, your bass, and your melody line. It's really fun to do. With all that being said, I will see you all in the next video, and take care.